Hello, hello, hello. What is up? This is the sand. What is up, everyone who is joining in? Thank you for being here. Let's start with our quick first drawing. What I need to do is to take out the timer first so we know exactly how long are we taking to draw whatever we are drawing. And all right, I found the timer. Let's cancel and stopwatch start. Let's get going. Right, so I am going to draw a figure first. Also, what I've decided is I will try to save as much paper as I can. And let's see how that side quest goes on. So let's get to it. We will be drawing some quick poses. And so this is the first warm-up drawing. We'll try not to do too much of detail and try to capture the essence of all these poses. So yeah, what is up everyone who has joined in? Thank you for joining in. Not worried about the details, but we've got to keep everything in proportion. I mean, these are sort of a block figures, but a little more detailed than the block figures. He's kind of hanging on to a, what's it called? A rod, a pole, sort of a thing. So that's what's up. Alright, let's keep drawing, and I should not be worrying about who's texting me, because the moment I start looking at the text, my speed just goes away. So that's his other hand, that's his waistline. Let's darken this up, and let's put his first foot in place, and there's his second foot. A little twist on his muscle. That's his knee. Let's darken it because he's wearing a trouser kind of a thing. And over here is his foot. So it looked shorter because of the foreshortening. Like whatever is near to you will look bigger, whatever is a little further away will look smaller. And that's how exaggeration works. So there's this pole kind of thing he's hanging on to. Let's give his trousers a little right shape. Alright, I've made this foot a little shorter, so let me extend this just a little tiny more. Alright, this looks better. That's his fly, that's his other knee. So far we are like 3 minutes in this drawing. What's up? Hello Kitty. All of a sudden 17 peeps are watching. Hey, what's up? And all of a sudden there'll be no one. What's up? Hello Kitty. How's it going? I'm kind of a real optimistic person when it comes to my uh, art streams, because usually I have like 1 or 2 viewers. So if we have 2 viewers, we have the house full. What's up guys? Thank you for being here. Just a second and we will switch to the next drawing. So this we have made in about 4 minutes. Let's write this here and move to our second drawing. 4 minutes. Right. Alright, I was trying to look at my own screen so I know whatever is being drawn is on screen. Alright, let's draw another pose. So this one's a boxing kind of a pose, sort of an action pose. And I want to draw it with this 9B. It's a sharp pencil. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Do this. So this is where I'm going to put his head at. Hello Kitty, what's up? I hope everyone's just doing great. Whoever's watching this. That's his head. That's his ear. Also that I will try not to get into the details, but if something just takes away my impulse attention, I'm sorry. But still I'll try to keep my word of not doing too much of a detail. Because I know then it takes just freaking forever to finish one drawing. Oh, I forgot to reset the timer. Let's start again. So yeah, we are about 1 minute in this drawing, and so far we have made his head in position. That is where his glove would come. That's where his other glove would come. Since both of these gloves we have placed, let's draw the surrounding. So that's his arm, kind of a little curve. That's where his elbow should come. And this is his shoulder blade. Sorry, this is a collarbone. Collar muscle. What's it called? Yeah, the collar muscle. And that's where his bicep should come. Arm muscle should come. This is his bicep. Alright, let's give him final lines. His muscles. Slight curve. This looks promising enough. Let's give a little detail in the shadows so that these muscles become obvious. So far we are about 2 minutes in this drawing. Right, let's give this part a little more shadow and make some of these lines a little darker. Right, let's give his gloves a little detail maybe, so that they don't look too empty. Alright, this kind of detail is sort of enough to define what's happening. Right, so this is where his shorts start from. Sort of a high waist short. Boxers. And there's some sort of a cloth wrapped around it. Alright, so let's draw his other arm. This is bicep. I'm sorry, I'm not looking at the messages. I hope there are some people watching. But if somebody's just writing something, I have no idea, and just look at it in a bit. And I hope to find some messages. Alright, this looks promising enough to move to the other part. Again, not too much of a detail. But yeah, we can give him some tiny amount of features. Alright, let's come down. So far we are about 4 minutes in this drawing. It's his hip, and that's his short, and he's got his thigh over here somewhere. Yep, so it should come all the way connected from his hip. So this is the kind of shape that we want, almost like a chicken drumstick. Let me make a chicken drumstick over here. Alright, so this is where his knee will come. Let's make his thigh a little slimmer because I think the drumstick kind of took it away. Alright. We don't want to do too much of a detail in this other foot. But we can if we have to, but I'm just going to give it sort of a suggestion of the movement of his foot. We can give this foot a little bit of detail so that they know that the artists haven't been like lazy. Alright, so this is his heel, and that's the rest of his foot. Just a second. Oh, no messages. I just saw nobody's texting. So, all right. So this we have made in about 5 minutes. All these are quick drawings. Let me zoom this out so you can see the scale. They're like tiny drawings. All right, let's draw something else. Well, let's draw another figure on top of this. So let's start from his hand. I hope you can see the drawing. Let me zoom this in a bit. Now that's too much of a zoom in. All right, let's draw. So let's draw his elbow right on top of his head and draw this line. Just a second. Yeah. So that's his elbow. That's his arm forward. And so that gives an impression of this guy ducking his punch, his strike. That's his hand. I hope this guy doesn't turn out to be a giant because I didn't do any sort of markings, but whatever. It's got to look proportionate. So that's his chest. That's his body. Right. That's his arm, his shoulder muscle. Right. And that's his spine. I think this guy looks really huge in front of this dude. So that's his short. This is his back. Again, not putting any sort of detail. I'm just trying to get the portion right. It's his head. Just a second. Now what's happening, guys? What is up? Yeah. Pexel 404. What is up? What is up? So that's his head, sort of a dark head, right? Because it's towards the shadows. This figure has shadows on this side. So let's give a little more detail to his shoulder. And give a little shadow to this side. Again, just trying to give sort of an impression in the drawing. Nothing too detailed. So that's his short. And somewhere around here. No details at all. Just a quick gesture. So this one has taken lesser time. So you've done lesser detail. Alright, let's start in this foot. Alright, this we have done in about, let's say, 4 minutes. Alright, it's not bad. We write 4 minutes. Let's draw another drawing, another sketch. Alright, I like this one. So there's this guy playing basketball. Let's start. Starting with his head. Let me just reset it. Alright, let's start. See how long does that take? I'd say I'd give it about 7 minutes. Alright, try to finish this in like 4, but let's see how that goes. So again, not too much of detail, just a suggestion of what's happening in the face, some basic structure, and following too much of the shadows. Capture all the shadows in the drawing. It looks super interesting, but just that we need to take care of the proportions. Alright, so that's where his head ends, that's his neck, kind of a stretched out neck. This looks alright, let's give him his muscles, a collar, and his shirt. That's his arm, his shoulder, his bicep. Not too much of detail, but don't forget that it's got to look decent, like convincing in terms of the drawing. It shouldn't look fake, it should look childish. As long as you follow the proportion and keep comparing how big this shoulder looks to this shoulder, your drawing will be fine. Keep comparing while you're drawing how big does this look compared to his head. So yeah, and like sometimes these bulky guys who have got broader shoulders are bigger than their heads. so they look kind of funny, but all pumped up, right? So that depends entirely on your subject. We are only trying to capture the shadows at this point so that we can reach the right amount of detail at a lesser amount of time. So far we are like 2 minutes in this drawing. So that's his hand. I'm not going to put too much of a detail. Still try to make all the convincing details. Right. I hope this other hand looks fine. If it doesn't, I'll just do something about it in a bit. Right, so let's make the rest of his body. Now that he looks too bulky, shouldn't be that bulky. This line looks better. His waist should start from over here. This is hips, his shorts. Not too much of a detail. Right, this looks really awkward. So let's give this a tiny amount of detail to sharpen the drawing's experience. This looks better now. Let's give his first foot, and his knee should come somewhere around here. Just a second, let me. Alright, this looks better now. His knee should come somewhere around here. So far we are about 4 minutes in this drawing, and I thought of 4 minutes, but the 4 minutes thing is gone, so I give myself 7 minutes more, three more minutes. And yeah, so This is where his foot should end. Again, whatever you've drawn lightly, you can always draw on top of it. This is where his other foot will come. And we will give him lesser detail, but try to draw the entire silhouette of his foot. This is where his sneakers start from. All right, so this one's, oh no, we haven't done this hand. All right, so let's draw this hand first, then we are done with this drawing. Not too much of a detailing. And let's draw the ball. The ball should come somewhere around here. Ta-da! So we've taken about 5 minutes, 30 seconds. Alright, so we have done 4 drawings till now. Let's draw more. Let's draw a face, what do you say? Should I be drawing the face? Why not? Let's draw a face. So I try to draw a quick portrait. Oh, let me reset the time. Stop, reset, start here. What's up everyone? Please leave a message if you're here. Just a second, I need to connect to my internet because for some odd reason it is just not connecting. Alright, whatever. Alright, let's get back to drawing. It doesn't matter if internet is not connected. It's kind of connected to this device from where I'm streaming, but not to my computer, so I can't see if there are any messages or not. So that's the top part of eyes. We're using cross hatching. Right, let's draw the eyes real light first, so we know we can darken it once we're sure. Drawing these eyes real light. So far we are about 1 minute 30 seconds in this drawing. I think the eyes look fine in the placement, so we can do sort of a detail thing, but for that I need to sharpen this a little more. It's a 9B that I'm using and it's a super soft pencil. Alright, so let's do a little detailing in his eyes. Going to leave a little bit of white as a highlight that's reflecting directly on his eyes inside like cornea. And it's kind of a reflective thing, so let's give it a little sharp shade, while the top part needs to be darker and a little thicker. And we can use a little hair like drawing to define eyelashes, but we don't want to get into much of a detail at this point. So yeah, instead of drawing this line darker, we will draw a space in between the lower eyelid, the first line of the lower eyelid, so that this white kind of suggests the thickness of the lower eyelid, darkening it a little bit around, and this part needs to be darkened up. This part needs to be darkened up. This looks promising enough for us to move further. Let's come to the middle part of his nose and his other eye. Let's make sure that it's pointing at the right point. So yeah, we can move further. Let's draw the upper eyelid and darkening this part to define thickness. We can darken this part. And to create sort of a form, we lighten this area and darken the... See, remember, it's always going to be dark after light, light after dark. So if this part is sort of in the light, then this part needs to be dark to define the, what's it called, the volume of this muscle right on top of his eye. Let's draw his cornea. It's alright if it's looking a little squinty, we'll fix it. Let's draw the rest of the eye, the lower eyelid. So far we are about like 5 minutes in this drawing. Don't worry, I won't be wasting my time and yours drawing the hair, but I'm just trying to find the right proportion. So I'm just giving him an impression of his hair. A little muscle detail on his forehead. He's got this basketball player's foot right on his forehead. I think he's worried about that. So far we have about 6 minutes in this drawing. Here applying this middle tone around his face as we keep on drawing. Trying to find his nose. Should come somewhere around here. And let's give his nostrils a little definition. And his nose. So yeah, let's give this nose a little more detail. Just darkening. All these broken strokes will look like muscles. So even if they look kind of also that this looks too dirty now because I'm using a dirty paper. So I need to erase some part for the drawing to be more shiny. Right, let's erase this part quickly. All right. I'm using a 9B for this drawing. All right, so this is where his cheekbone will come, somewhere around here. So let's give this a little detail. We are trying to convince people that he's got cheekbones, hair. That means we need to give some sort of a shadow. Right around this point. And make it a little gradient as it goes upward. And we're about 9 minutes in this drawing. Hope everyone's enjoying this, whoever's watching. So let's give him his lips now. To draw his lips, what I like to do is to draw the line of upper lip and make it darker, and draw the lower lip, like the area that's right beneath the lower lip, in a gradient. And then do the shade. I'll work around the shape of his lips. Also, we don't need to draw everything. Like if you can see a line that's really thin and you don't want to draw a pencil line, then you can just use an eraser to erase that part, and that will create a line. Alright, so let's draw his jaw now. Or should we draw the cheekbone first? Let's draw this cheekbone first. This looks too pointy. Let me just dampen this shape a little more. And give him his jawline. And his chin. And his other side of his jaw. Alright, this looks fine. Let's draw his ears. Let's give him, so far we are about like 11 minutes in this drawing. I'm going to give him his ear, darkening it a little bit. I hope you can see the drawing. Yeah. To create more depth, this part can be way darker than the upper part in terms of shade, and it will create a composition, a sense of uh, different values in the drawing. Alright, let's give his neck a little detail. And we can like give his neck a minimum amount of detail. It's not very important at this point. But again, to define the definition, to make the drawing look more convincing. Draw everything, but like real lively. Almost all the muscles that you can see. Alright, let's draw his other ear. And then we'll give him his final touches, whatever is needed in the drawing. So far we're about like 15 minutes in this drawing. I try not to rub my palm on this drawing now. Just leaving the impression. You know what, if I just tilt this drawing, it will look way darker. It's the silver graphite that's making it look grayish. So there's an issue with the lighting. Alright, so we are about done in 16 minutes. Let me write this down here. Ta-da! Alright, that was an intense drawing of a portrait. So, yeah, let's draw another portrait because I kind of find it fun. Let's draw a quick drawing. Let's draw another head. So, I'm drawing a kind of a profile pose. And, yeah, let's start. Let me reset and start. So I'm drawing his hair. That will define his head. Like instead of making the round, I will find the roundness with the little detail that I'm doing of his hair. And also trying to save some time. Well, there is no science. I think like it's mostly preference. So yeah, all right. Let's draw his. So his head is like around this big. This is where I'll put his ear, and this is the line where his eyebrow should come. This is where his ear should start from, and let's draw his sideburns somewhere around here. Right. So let's give him a tiny line to define his eyebrow, sort of a profile, and his nose should start from here somewhere. Yep. And should end around this point. That's where his nostrils will come. So his lips will come. It's his lower lip. And that's his chin. And that's his jawline. It's meeting the sideburns somewhere around here. And his ear should come here. Let's draw a tiny detail. here. Just a second, I need to use a lighter pencil. Alright, so this one is a 3B, and the graphite is kind of real light. Gives more silver finish. So we are just doing a little amount of detail. About 3 minutes in this drawing. Again, not too much of a detail, but enough detail to kind of capture the mood of what's happening in the moment. We can use the darker pencil now. Alright, so far we are about like 40 minutes, 45 minutes in the session, and it's time to say goodbye right after this drawing. And whoever watched this, thank you for watching, and I hope to catch you guys again tomorrow, or maybe in a few hours. Alright, this we've done in about 6 minutes. Alright, so let's call it a night, or day, an afternoon, and I will see you guys tomorrow. This is all we have done so far. This we did in about 4 minutes, this in about 4 minutes, this boxer in about 5 minutes, this basketball guy in about 5 minutes 30 seconds, this dude in about 16 minutes, this in about 6 minutes. So I hope you had fun, and I'll see you again tomorrow at the same time. Take care. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching.